hip-hop just got hit with another shockwave, and this time, it's personal. For years, Fat Joe and Remy Ma have been celebrated as one of rap's tightest duos, partners in bars, loyalty, and Bronx pride. But what if that chemistry ran deeper than anyone ever knew? According to new viral rumors, an explosive piece of lost hotel footage has surfaced, allegedly showing a side of their friendship that even Lean Back couldn't hide. The twist: that discovery reportedly came from none other than Papoose, Remy Ma's devoted husband, who's said to have stumbled across the footage while reviewing old tour archives. If true, it's a revelation that could shatter one of hip-hop's most respected marriages and destroy a friendship that helped define New York rap's golden era. Social media has gone wild with speculation. Some call it the biggest betrayal since Jay and Dame, while others insist it's nothing but clever clickbait. Still, the whispers keep growing louder. Screenshots, alleged messages, and emotional reactions hinting that something deeper might really be unfolding behind closed doors. Is this the ultimate misunderstanding or the secret that rewrites hip-hop history? As fans brace for answers, one thing's certain: when love, loyalty, and legacy collide, the truth never stays buried for long. The Bronx never sleeps. Every block carries its own rhythm, beats bouncing off the brick, stories written in spray paint, legends born from struggle. For 2 decades, Fat Joe and Remy Ma have been part of that soundtrack. Family? Collaborators, the unbreakable duo who turned loyalty into a lifestyle. From Lean Back to All the Way Up, they built an empire on chemistry that felt untouchable until now. It started as a whisper. A grainy thumbnail on YouTube titled "Papoose Finds the Footage, Fat Joe Times Remy Ma Exposed." Within hours, it spread across every gossip page in hip-hop culture. Screenshots, blurry stills, and anonymous insiders hinted that an old hotel recording from the Terror Squad Reloaded Tour 2011 had surfaced. Footage showing Joe and Remy in a moment too intimate for friendship. At first, no one believed it. Hip-hop fans have seen 1,000 rumors come and go. But this one had something the others didn't. A name: Papoose. The king and queen of loyalty, Papoose and Remy Ma were hip-hop's power couple long before the industry made hashtags for them. When she went to prison in 2008, he stood by her side for 6 years, writing letters, visiting weekly, waiting patiently for the woman he called his ride or die. When she came home, their reunion wasn't just romantic, it was revolutionary. Together, they redefined what commitment looked like in a world obsessed with betrayal. So when whispers began suggesting that the same loyalty had been broken, fans recoiled. Remy would never, they said. Fat Joe loves her like a sister. Still, the rumor refused to die. Someone claimed the footage had been recovered from a forgotten hard drive used during a Terror Squad tour stop in Miami. Another claimed Papoose himself had found it while working with an old videographer on a documentary. Then came the cryptic post: "When loyalty turns to lessons." Papoose wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "Even kings bleed when truth cuts deep." It was deleted minutes later, but not before screenshots spread like wildfire. The Bronx holds its breath for 3 straight days. The internet was chaos. YouTube commentators went live dissecting every facial expression from old interviews. One viral clip showed Remy laughing with Joe during a 2017 performance. The caption read, "You can see the chemistry. It wasn't just music." Old footage of their interviews resurfaced moments that once looked friendly, now suddenly seemed loaded. Fans debated timestamps like detectives. Look at Joe's eyes at 1:32. Tell me that's not love. But behind the screens, the real people at the center of it all stayed silent. Fat Joe posted nothing. Remy stayed off social media completely. And Papoose, he vanished. No studio sessions, no interviews, no comments, just silence from a man known for his lyrical honesty. In the absence of truth, rumor became scripture. Flashback, brothers and sisters in bars, to understand why the rumor hit so hard. You have to go back to where it began. It was 2004 and the Bronx was reclaiming its throne. Fat Joe had already solidified himself as a heavyweight, both in music and street credibility. Remy Ma, newly signed to his Terror Squad label? Was the firebrand sharp, fearless, unpredictable? Their collaboration on Lean Back exploded across the airwaves, cementing them as one of the most electric duos in hip-hop. But beyond the music, their friendship became legendary. Joe often referred to Remy as his little sister. She called him Big Bro, the man who saved her career more than once when she was released from prison. It was Joe who welcomed her back to the stage. Their comeback single, All the Way Up, wasn't just a hit, it was a statement. Resilience, loyalty, triumph. So when the alleged footage rumor broke, it wasn't just another scandal, it was sacrilege. The footage nobody can find here's the strange part for all the talk. No one has actually seen this supposed video in full. Every viral post links back to a single 15-second clip, two blurred figures entering a hotel suite. Time-stamped 2011. The clip cuts off before anything happens. Skeptics point out the flaws, the grainy quality, the mismatched shadows, the lack of any verifiable source. Some even claim it's deepfake footage stitched together from tour archives. But truth doesn't matter in the digital era. Belief does. Podcasters turned it into a week-long series. One blogger claimed to have spoken to a production assistant who confirmed Papoose saw the footage and lost it. Another insisted Remy was preparing a statement to clear her name. None of it could be verified, yet the story had already grown too large to stop. Inside Papoose's silence, friends close to the rapper described him as hurt but calm. He wasn't lashing out, he was calculating. Known for his composure and intellect, Papoose had always handled adversity with dignity. But even he couldn't escape the whispers. An associate told an Atlanta-based radio show, "Pap ain't the type to air his pain online. If something happened, he's gonna deal with it privately, but best believe he's hurting." Fans speculated that the cryptic post he deleted was a veiled response to what he'd seen. Some said he was preparing to confront Joe directly. Others believed he was waiting for proof. And through it all, Remy remained silent, a silence that some mistook for guilt and others for exhaustion. The Bronx streets, spoke outside Hot 97's studio. Fans gathered, holding posters reading "Stand by Remy," and we don't believe it. Talk shows debated the situation like it was national politics. Charlemagne Thaw God joked on The Breakfast Club, "I ain't saying it's true, but if Pap found footage, that means somebody's phone about to get thrown out a window." The crowd laughed, but the undertone was serious. Hip-hop has always blurred the line between art and reality. And now that line was cutting deep. Even Fat Joe's longtime peers were asked to comment. One producer, hiding behind anonymity, said, "Joe loves Remy, no doubt. But not like that. People want to see dirt where there's just respect." Still, the whispers continued. The emotional fallout behind closed doors. Insiders said the frost-level storm of emotions was real. Phone calls unanswered. Studio sessions canceled, tour meetings postponed. Remy, always known for her strength, reportedly broke down in tears during a private conversation with a close friend. She kept saying, "After everything I fought for, this is what they do to me." The friend recalled. She was more hurt by the betrayal of the rumor than the rumor itself. Papoose, meanwhile, turned to his music, writing, recording, purging his emotions into verses no one's heard yet. He's journaling in rhyme, a fellow MC said. That's how Pap heals. The internet verdict has the online frenzy reached its peak. Public opinion split into camps. Some fans defended Remy Ma ferociously, launching the hashtag Remy Innocent, citing her history of loyalty and integrity. Others began tagging Fat Joe in every post, demanding a statement. Conspiracy theories surfaced, claims that rival artists planted the story to sabotage the Bronx duo's influence, that a gossip site fabricated the leak for traffic, or that Papoose's discovery was actually an old publicity stunt gone wrong. Still, Even skeptics admitted that the silence from all three parties felt eerie. In hip-hop, silence can mean power or guilt. The calm before the truth after 10 days of digital warfare. A new post appeared on Fat Joe's Instagram. Sometimes people want to see you fall because they can't climb with you. Real ones know the truth. God bless. The caption was short, but the message was loud. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't apologizing. He was standing firm. Minutes later, Remy Ma broke her silence with a story post showing her and Joe in the studio, laughing over a new beat. The caption read simply, "Still family. Always will be." And just like that, the internet imploded again. Had the footage been fake all along? Had the entire scandal been manufactured? Or was this just two legends refusing to let gossip destroy decades of loyalty? No one knew for sure, but one thing was clear: the truth. Whatever it was hadn't finished revealing itself. Because in hip-hop, the past has a way of coming back, and sometimes the beat drops right when you think the music's over. Beat drops right when you think the music's over. The internet never forgets, but it moves fast. Just days after Remy Ma's cryptic studio post with Fat Joe, the rumor mill that had almost buried them both suddenly split into factions. Some fans screamed forgery. Others swore the pair were using damage control. Either way, the Bronx was buzzing again. Remy looked calm in the clip to calm, according to commentators. Her laugh seemed rehearsed, her smile strained. To outsiders, it was proof that something was being hidden. To insiders, it was simply exhaustion. She'd had enough of defending herself against ghosts. The video that wouldn't die, an anonymous account calling itself The Hotel Witness, posted a longer cut of the alleged footage, 30 seconds this time. The same hallway, the same blurred shapes, now with faint voices in the background. One phrase stood out through the static: "Lock the door." That was all it took. Reaction videos sprouted like wildfire. TikTok detectives slowed the clip frame by frame, circling silhouettes and matching them against paparazzi shots. Twitter threads compared shoe shapes. YouTube thumbnails screamed confirmed. In neon letters, but there was still no clear face, no timestamp verification, no source. It was gossip dressed up as evidence, but in the digital age, that was enough to feel real. Papoose breaks his silence after 12 days of speculation. Papoose finally appeared live on Instagram. He didn't smile. Behind him was a blank wall, his wedding ring glinting under harsh light. "I ain't here to entertain nobody's circus," he began. "When you love somebody, you don't go to war with the internet. You go to war for the truth." He didn't mention names. He didn't confirm or deny anything. But his eyes told a story of sleepless nights. He thanked his fans for holding it down and asked for privacy. Then, just before ending the live, he said quietly, "Not everything recorded should have been remembered." The comment section exploded. Was he admitting the footage was real? Or was he speaking about how lies can be immortal once filmed? No one knew. But the phrase instantly trended as hashtag "not everything recorded" a slogan, a warning. And another wave of speculation. Fat Joe fights back while the world dissected every syllable from Papoose. Fat Joe decided to go on offense. On his podcast, The Joe Show, he addressed the rumors head-on. "Look, I've been in this game 30 years. I've seen people build you up and tear you down in the same tweet. Remy's my sister. That's it. Ain't no story here except loyalty." He slammed his hand on the table, eyes fierce. "Y'all want to believe lies because the truth too boring. But loyalty don't trend, right?" It was the most passionate defense anyone had made yet. Within hours, the clip spread across platforms, earning applause from peers like Busta Rhymes and Angie Martinez. Even skeptics admitted Joe's convictions sounded genuine. Yet somewhere in Brooklyn, Papoose reportedly watched the segment in silence. Inside, Remy's circle friends of Remy described her as emotionally drained but defiant. She'd been writing again, journaling, freestyling, pouring the chaos into bars she might never release. She said if she spits it, it'll sound like pain. Not power, one confidant explained. She hadn't spoken publicly about Papoose's live, but insiders said she texted him after watching "You Know My Truth." He replied hours later with a single heart emoji. It wasn't reconciliation, but it wasn't war either. The interview leak then came another twist. A podcast called Hip Hop Confidential released a teaser claiming they had exclusive audio from a hotel employee who'd worked during that 2011 tour. The anonymous voice described seeing a famous rapper and a female artist checking in under pseudonyms. The host refused to name them, but the implication was clear. Within an hour, the show's sponsor pulled out, citing legal concerns. The teaser vanished from all platforms. But like everything else, it had already been copied and shared 1,000 times. The industry reacts behind closed doors. Hip-hop's elite started choosing sides. Some artists unfollowed Fat Joe. Others rallied around him publicly. One veteran MC tweeted, "Stop tearing down the people who built this culture. Y'all chasing clicks off lies?" Meanwhile, gossip pages treated it like sport. Polls popped up. Who do you believe, Remy and Joe or Pap? Memes mocked all three. What had begun as rumor was now entertainment currency. The hurt ran deeper than headlines. For Joe, it threatened a legacy built on trust. For Remy, it tainted years of resilience. And for Papoose, it challenged the very image of hip-hop's most loyal husband. Private conversations one night. Long after midnight, Fat Joe called Papoose directly. No cameras, no managers. Just two men, both tired of being stories. Pap Joe said, voice heavy, "I swear to God, there's nothing to that footage. Somebody's playing us." There was a pause on the Lena Long one. "I want to believe you," Papoose said finally. "But belief don't erase pictures once the world's seen them." Joe sighed. "Then let's show him the truth." That phone call would become the spark for what fans later dubbed the Bronx Truce. The Bronx Truce 2 nights later. The three of them, Fat Joe, Remy Ma, and Papoose, walked into Power 105's studio together. Cameras flashed like lightning. The hip-hop world froze. On air, they sat side by side. No makeup. No scripts. "Remy, I'm not gonna let lies rewrite my story." "Papoose, that's my wife. We talk before we tweet." "Fat Joe, we're family." End of discussion. The interview lasted only 12 minutes, but it changed everything. They denied the affair, dismissed the footage as doctored, and promised to find whoever leaked it. When asked if their friendship could ever be the same, Remy smiled softly. "It already is. Because the truth don't need to scream, it survives." The fallout, not everyone bought it. Some called the truce a publicity stunt. Others accused them of faking unity to save careers. But the public mood began to shift. Without fresh drama, the rumor lost oxygen. Digital detectives who once chased likes moved on to new scandals. The clip that started it all was quietly removed from major platforms after copyright strikes. Its source account disappeared. Behind the scenes, Joe's legal team tracked down the uploader's IP registered overseas. Impossible to trace fully. The mystery lingered, but the danger was gone. Healing in the spotlight in the weeks that followed. The trio channeled their pain into creation. Joe and Remy dropped a surprise single titled Proof of Life over soulful horns. Remy rapped, "They tried to frame me in rumors and static, but love to real. Can't fake cinematic sins." The song trended for the right reasons this time. Papoose joined them for the remix, delivering one of his most heartfelt verses yet. "A king ain't less when he forgives. He greater 'cause he still lets love live." For once, the world listened, Dan applauded. The lesson behind the line months later, during a quiet interview. Remy summed up what the entire ordeal had taught her. "I learned that silence ain't weakness. Sometimes it's strength. 'Cause when you know who you are, you don't gotta fight every lie they collapse on their own." Fat Joe nodded beside her. "We survived the internet. That's harder than surviving the streets." Papoose smiled faintly, reaching for Remy's hand. "And we still all the way up." The studio laughed. The tension finally broken. Epilogue. The beat goes on by the end of the year. The scandal that once threatened to derail their lives had turned into an urban legend. Cautionary tale about fame in the algorithm age. No one ever proved where the footage came from. Some still swore it existed. Others believed it was AI-generated clickbait. But for the people at the center of it, the truth was simpler. They'd faced the storm and found each other on the other side. And in hip-hop, that kind of survival is rarer than any rumor. The storm had passed, but the clouds lingered. Even after the Bronx Truce interview calmed the gossip, the air around Fat Joe, Remy Ma, and Papoose stayed electric, charged with the memory of everything that had almost been lost in a culture that feasts on downfall. Surviving a scandal is one thing. Turning it into redemption is another. That winter, all three made a pact. No more reacting. From now on, they would create. The quiet rebuild. The quiet rebuild. For months, the trio disappeared from headlines. No live streams, no clapbacks, no cryptic captions. Instead, they worked. Remy spent nights in a small Bronx studio relearning silence. She wrote bars about loyalty, love, and the weight of rumor. They framed me in pixels but couldn't print proof. Truth ain't viral, but it's bulletproof. That Joe was the strategist again. Calling contacts, arranging studio sessions, rebuilding bridges that gossip had cracked. We're not chasing relevance, he told his team. We're building legacy. Papoose turned inward, his notebook filled with verses about forgiveness, not as weakness, but as power. The realest man in the room, he wrote, is the one who can walk through noise and still hear peace. The return to the stage, their first appearance together, came unexpectedly. A benefit concert for Bronx youth initiatives. No promotion, no build-up, just a flyer circulating online with three names that once divided the internet, now printed side by side. The venue sold out in 2 hours when the lights dimmed and the bass hit. The crowd roared. Fat Joe stepped out first, energy vibrating through the floorboards. Remy followed, fierce as ever, her braids catching the spotlight. Then Papoose appeared between them, microphone raised like a flag of unity. They launched into Proof of Life remix, the track born from pain, now reborn as triumph. During the final verse, Joe paused the beat. This city tried to break us, he said, his voice echoing. But the Bronx don't fold. It multiplies. The crowd erupted. Cell phones lit the arena like constellations. It wasn't just a concert. It was resurrection. Healing behind the scenes off stage. The healing was slower, quieter. Remy and Papoose entered therapy together, not because of betrayal, but because of exhaustion. We needed to learn how to breathe again, Remy told a friend. The sessions weren't about the rumor, but about boundaries. How to live a public life without letting the public own it. For Fat Joe, redemption came through mentorship. He started hosting workshops for young artists about reputation management and mental health. Talent gets you in the door, he told them. Character keeps you in the room. The trio's story became a lesson passed around studios and label offices alike, a reminder that in the digital age, truth travels slower than lies but lasts longer. The documentary Delay Streaming platform approached them with an idea, a docu-series titled Unedited, The Bronx Truce. At first, they refused. They'd just escaped being turned into content. Why reopen the wound? But one night, Papoose convinced them. If we don't tell it, someone else will, and they'll get it wrong again. Filming began quietly that spring. Cameras followed them through recording sessions, family dinners, and community events. Instead of gossip, the focus was growth. 3 artists redefining what recovery looks like in hip-hop. When the trailer dropped, stunned everyone. Instead of scandal, it showed softness, laughter, prayer, silence, and redemption. The tagline read, "The truth isn't what you hear, it's what you live." Remy's renaissance, the docu-series reignited Remy's creative fire. She launched an all-female imprint, Golden Section Records, devoted to mentoring young women in rap. During the press tour, she said, "They called me The Story, but I'm the author now," her first signee. A 19-year-old Bronx MC named Nia Gold released a single produced by Fat Joe and co-written by Remy. The track, Second Wind, became an anthem for resilience. Papoose watched from the studio booth, smiling. "That's legacy," he said softly. Papoose's perspective, meanwhile, Papoose's solo project, Love and War Poems, topped streaming charts. It wasn't about fame, it was therapy set to beats. Each track told a piece of his inner journey. Anger, confusion, surrender, grace. On one song, Rumor Renaissance, he rapped, "Screenshots can't define a soul 'cause Wi-Fi can't transmit control." Critics hailed it as his most mature work. Fans called it grown man hip-hop. And behind it all, his marriage had become stronger. Rooted not in image, but in understanding, Fat Joe's reinvention for Fat Joe. Redemption came in full circle moments. He reopened his community center in the Bronx, this time naming one wing the Loyalty Lab. Inside, kids learned music production, business contracts, and social media literacy. "Don't let clout control your craft," he told them during the opening. "You can't delete reputation like a tweet." Major outlets covered the event, reframing him not as the subject of scandal, but as a mentor and architect of change. For a man once dragged through digital mud, the headlines now read, "Fat Joe turns pain into purpose." The reunion album by late summer, rumors swirled again, but this time, the good kind. The trio was reportedly recording a collaborative album titled Legacy Lines. Fans speculated what it would sound like: street grit, grown wisdom, or both when it finally dropped. The opening track, Echoes of Faith, opened with Remy's voice. "They threw stones. We built a stage." The album blended soulful horns with hard drums, a sound both nostalgic and new. Critics hailed it as the comeback hip-hop didn't know it needed. Rolling Stone called it a masterclass in grace under fire. Cultural ripple effect beyond music. Their redemption rippled through culture. Podcasts discussed it as a blueprint for surviving cancel culture without losing dignity. University panels analyzed the Bronx truce as a modern myth, the rebirth of authenticity in a digital era. For the first time in years, their names were no longer attached to scandal, but to resilience. A night to remember months later. At the BET Hip Hop Awards, the trio walked the red carpet together. The cameras that once hunted scandal now captured serenity. When they took the stage to perform Proof of Life, the audience stood before the first beat dropped. Near the end, Papoose handed Remy the mic. "For every rumor that tried to break us," she said, "thank you. You reminded us who we are." Thunderous applause followed. Tears glistened in Joe's eyes. It wasn't just applause for a performance, 'twas applause for survival. Legacy cemented the following year. Unedited, The Bronx Truce won a Peabody Award for its honest portrayal of reconciliation. During his acceptance speech, Joe said, "We used to chase hits. Now we chase healing. And that's the real record." Remy stood beside him, radiant. Papoose squeezed her hand. Their story, once twisted by rumor, had become legend, a parable about friendship, forgiveness, and the courage to start over. Epilogue, the long game years later. Younger artists still whispered about that rumor-like folklore, but the punchline had changed. Instead of saying, "Remember when they almost fell apart?" people said, "Remember how they came back stronger?" Because legends aren't defined by what almost ended them, but by what they build after the fall. And in the heart of the Bronx, where rhythm never dies and truth echoes off every corner bodega wall, the beat went on deeper, wiser, eternal. The Bronx Truce wasn't just about clearing names. It was about rewriting the rules of loyalty, love, and legacy in hip-hop. What began as a storm ended as a story of strength, forgiveness, and rebirth. But the question now is, what will you take from it? Share this story if you believe redemption is louder than rumor. Comment your thoughts. Can loyalty survive the internet age? Or does fame always twist the truth? Follow for next part. Legacy and influence, how the Bronx Truce redefined hip-hop's next generation. 'Cause every legend faces a storm, but only a few learn to dance in the rain. Stay tuned. The beat isn't over, isn't over.